nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Totally forgot about that being an 80s thing.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Call the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to go out of order to item number 6. Can I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
Motion by Bob, second by Anne Marie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 6, presentation of the volleyball citations. First of all, congratulations, ladies, on another very successful season. State Representative Claire Dietrich has some citations that she would like to present to all of the players. So what we're going to do is we're going to read the citation. State Representative will do that first. You'll come up one at a time to receive your citations. Parents, if you want to come up and take pictures, you're certainly welcome to. We'll take our time. And then at the end, we'll do one big group shot that we'll have, and we'll put all that out on social media unless anybody has an issue with that. So if you do, just let me know. But just want to make sure before we put any kids' pictures out on social media. So with that, I'll turn it over to, use the.
All right. Thank you, Kurt. I'd like to congratulate the girls again in Seymour on another state championship. How many is this for volleyball? 3. Total? 3? Seems like it should be a lot more. It seems like it should be 10 or 15. Anyway, congratulations. You girls did a great job. Fine season, coaching staff, parents, athletes. You girls, you get it done on the volleyball court, you get it done in the classroom, and you continue to make the town of Seymour proud. This is the best part of my job that we get to do. I'm not going to cry, so don't worry. This is the best part of my job, being able to do this for all of you. I don't want to forget. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to jump out of turn. Tomorrow is First Selectman Miller's birthday. So I want to make sure I wish him a very happy birthday tomorrow. So
Thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome.
I am 27.
Big 5-0. Big 5-0.
I'm the same age as Kevin and Casey, so that'll tell you how old I am.
I don't know. Kevin and Kate, I mean, they look pretty good, Kurt.
Yes,
I don't know
they
about you. All righty. I'm going to read one citation from top to bottom so you all know what it says on there. State of Connecticut, General Assembly, introduced by myself, Senator Eric Berthel, and Senator Kevin Kelly. It's hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly hereby offers its sincere congratulations to the Seymour High School volleyball team, winning the Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference 2019 Girls Volleyball Tournament for Class M. The entire delegation is honored that you represent Seymour High School and our beloved community of Seymour with exuberance, dedication, and pride. You should be proud of this accomplishment, and may we wish you many years of robust competition and continued success. The entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success, given this 23rd day of November 2019. And here's the citation you'll all get. So I will begin. First person is Shay McDaniel. Try and do this without my glasses. Here. Second, Sarah, and I apologize if I mispronounce, Prodan. Come on up.
You might have been really off there.
Emma Russo. Gabrielle Rossetti. Ariana Smith.
Remember, parents want to take pictures. Just wait, hold on, Nicole.
Colby Sarowich. Catherine Cusera, Am I saying it correctly? She's not here. Devin Cronin.
Oh, hold on.
Lauren Gobieski, sorry.
Another picture.
Another
Yeah.
picture.
Jasmine Franco.
Oh, God.
That's a coach. We'll do those at the end. Stephanie Ferrara. Sarah Coaches. Jenna Baxter. JC Casciello. Ashley White. Faith Russo. Mackenzie Sarowich. Victoria Sampieri.
Wow.
She's going to take my job soon.
Your dad wants a picture.
Jacqueline Okula.
I'll go on another.
Erin, Lafreri.
That's not for right.
Maya Larova. And last but not least, can't forget our coaches, Kathy Fedorowicz, head coach. Yay! Congratulations, girls. Can we get everybody up here to take a picture?
She want the kids.
So if you just want to kind of line up in a kind of a horseshoe around the table.
Of course I did. I got it. I got him. I did. You know I would. I wouldn't forget that.
No, we got the Red Devil pack.
Rourke, take a picture. All right. So everybody ready?
Let's look at the center first.
Well, actually, let's start on the left, and then we'll move across. All right, everybody look to the left. Everybody's looking the same way. All right, now go to the center. And go to the right. Anybody else? Oh, back in the center. Everybody good?
Yep.
Hey, hold on. Big eye. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so the board will stand in recess for a few minutes, so if you folks would like to leave, you are certainly welcome to. We'd love to have you stay, but no one seems to ever stay. Thank you.
Hi. I know.
Thank you.
I
Nice, yes.
couldn't when I heard the name, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah? Yeah, just call. And if everything's new to town, there might be tax incentives available too, depending on work and equipment and
What,
everything
a
else.
sophomore now?
So call and we can look into it and say,
Alana's a sophomore.
because that may, every little bit will help.
So hard to believe.
Thank you.
That's right. See?
Whoopsie.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you. Oh, I think last time you
For you, we'll take them off.
broke the limit, if I'm not mistaken.
You had a lot to say.
It's okay.
There was a lot to talk about, right? Yeah. There's a lot to talk about. No.
Well, this is more like it.
This is normal.
That was fun.
Things are so much better. Oh my God. Smooth sailing.
Yeah.
Smooth sailing.
None on the microphone stuff. None on the microphones. It's still being recorded. Okie dokie.
Facts are facts. Performance speaks for itself.
All right, so we'll
Facts.
come back into order, and we'll move on to item number.
comment.
We'll move the. Oh, we'll come back to public comment because I already said we'll do first selectmen's report, and then we'll come back up to the minutes and public comment. So.
Okay.
All right, so with regards to the first selectmen's report, for the third year in a row, we held our annual two-day budget summit meeting at Basement Systems Training Facility. During the first day, we had the chance to hear from many of our financial vendors to get an idea as to what we should be focusing in on for fiscal year '21. We reviewed town insurance coverages, investments, and our existing loan portfolio, as well as discussing potential changes and their impact for the upcoming fiscal year. On day two, we discussed our overall budget strategy and established a set of goals to work toward. Also on day two, the senior staff joined us to present their budgets to each other, something we lovingly call the Hunger Games, as well as to work toward the town's capital plan for fiscal year '21 and beyond. This is an extremely worthwhile meeting, and I very much appreciate all the hard work and effort that goes into these 2 days by our staff to properly prepare for the upcoming budget season. Board of Finance has released their budget workshop schedule for the month of February. I'll be presenting my budget and recommendations for the town to them on Monday, March 2nd at 7 p.m., so if you are available. My budget is close to being complete. We have a 2-hour session scheduled for tomorrow, and I anticipate one additional session the end of next week. We're very close to keeping the mill rate stable for a 5th year in a row. I'll provide more information during the month of February. I'd like to thank State Representative Claire Esdicha, who's here today, for helping to set up a meeting between the town and Eversource to address outstanding issues with streetlights, as well as the frequent loss of power in town. We had a very open and honest discussion with them on our concerns and left with a good feeling that they understood exactly where we are coming from and what our frustrations are. We put in place a plan on how we'll move forward and what the expectations are. Eversource is committed to doing substantial amount of tree work in Seymour over the next several months, as well as addressing the 4 or 5 problem streetlights that have been out now for 6+ months for many of them. I was one of the 250+ people to attend the Team Housing Forum to discuss the need for affordable and workforce housing in the Valley and surrounding areas. I found the forum to be very well done, and a great deal of information was presented. We came away with several strategies we'll be working to implement over the next few years. The police union contract negotiations are ongoing. There are only 2 outstanding parts that are being discussed around the potential of a new schedule for patrol. We have a cutoff date of Monday, February 3rd at 9 a.m. to complete this part of the discussion. Once that is done, I expect to wrap everything up quickly and have a draft copy to be reviewed by this board. And then finally, we continue to meet with the towns of Ansonia and Derby to explore the potential of regionalization in several different areas. We're still in the process of reviewing the needs of each community and the strengths and weaknesses and to determine what opportunities may be available. As I've said before, we're trying to target some things for July 1st of 2020, but again, that may be a moving target. So with that, I will close the first Selectmen's report and move back up to item number 3. I apologize. Public comment? Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Okay, hearing no public comment, we'll move on to item number 4, approve minutes from the December 18, 2019 regular meeting. Can I have a motion to do so?
So,
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Al. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Item number 7, discussion. What? Bob, you, oh, I'm sorry, Bob wanted to say something.
No, I had just a slight change in one of the comments, just I
Yes.
want to put on record. That there was 2 quotes that were reported to me that were
Correct.
actually, I believe, but from what I remember, they were out.
They're Al's quotes.
Yeah. I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure that was captured on the record.
In section,
So it was page 9
I don't know what page number.
and page 10 on the document.
Yeah, it had to do with, it was item 10, the pothole claim.
Yeah.
If you, down near the bottom, one of the lines, Bob Finley said that the board does not need to do it all the time. He has always voted no on these and will continue to.
Right.
That's actually attributed to Selectman Bruno.
And then the one about pointing out case laws.
Yeah, that was also,
That was also good.
yes. So if we can just make those,
I
We'll-
couldn't make a reference
we'll get the
to-
specific lines.
Couldn't make the reference to case law like Mr. Bruno could.
Yeah,
Glad you caught that. Let's give it.
allegedly he's an attorney.
Allegedly for its community.
Allegedly. K-State, baby. K-State. K-State.
Gore.
Right.
That was a nice one, Bruno.
Are there any other,
I could have said first selectman.
any other comments? Nope, okay, excellent.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Item number 7, discussion, take possible action regarding TaxServ Contract and agreement. Okay, we have our tax collector, Dana Flock here. Yep, so if you want to pull the microphone up. Just so everybody can hear you. Well, no, so they can hear you out in the,
TV
make sure
land.
it's, I don't think it's on though, because the light's not on.
Nicole had it on.
I think Cole may shut it off.
She might have turned it off.
Nicole's conserving the batteries.
Right.
Rich,
There you go.
thank you.
This is the contract that we have currently with TaxServ. It's just a renewal. We've been with them since 2014. It's a 3-year contract, and they have options of 3 additional years to renew it in succession. And so that is over with now, so it starts off with a brand-new contract for 3 years, and then 3 years after that, we can renew it if we so choose. And we can get out of it with a 30-day written notice. They are our collection agency. They work pretty good. You know, that nobody's perfect with it, but they are better than what we can't. That's the last resource we have. We have not really much. They do mostly motor vehicle. We don't really have. We have a little bit of the businesses, the personal property, but not too much with that.
So just,
Successful.
so just the course of action, you work through the process to try to,
We do our
Have this
normal
money
send
come
out the
in.
bills. We send out demands. We send out. We've tried warrants with marshals at times. Sometimes we don't do the marshals. Sometimes we do the collection agency. The collection agency does seem to do better out of state when people move and they don't think that they have to come back to pay at all, or when they move and they never come back. We do have people that do come back to Connecticut, and you know,
But-
they do catch them before they can register anything else, and they have to pay their fees.
but we're not selling the liens.
We don't. There's no liens.
We're just-
We're not. There's nothing here because we don't even do the real estate with them at all.
Right, so that's the thing I just want to make clear. A lot of towns sell their tax liens. That's not what we're doing here.
Yeah, when they sell the liens, that's on real estate.
Right.
That's not, this is basically, motor vehicles, we do very little of the personal property, and we do no real estate with them. It's just the total motor vehicles. And now, you know, they can't register cars unless everything is cleared, and it's some people pay every 2 years when it's time to renew. Now, it's going to be 3 years, so it's going to be a lot tougher to
Yep.
get people to pay, because they're going to lose them. We lose them when they move, and some come back, like I said, some don't. So it's our, like I said, they still have to pay us. And they can still pay online. It's all open to the public knowledge, for them to see that. When it goes to the marshal, they can't pay online. It comes directly to us or to the marshal.
What percentage of taxpayers would you say end up with these folks? Small percentage.
Law, yes. When we have just some from older years and stuff like that, most, we do pretty good of our collection, but there are some that we just can't get, and we just send it to them to keep it going, because we can't. It's wasting postage when the mail comes back that they've moved, or that they're staying at the house and nobody wants to admit that they're at the house, and it's wasting our postage. So we just let them go, and they send their letters out to them, and the collection agency, and they do it quarterly, at least quarterly. They send their letters out to people.
Okay.
We give them new files. We just do it on a file basis and stuff.
So let me just try to understand what this company does. You try to get most of the normal routine cases, and for the real problems, that's what you send out to
Correct.
the contractors?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a few firms that do it. This one's, it comes to us. We've had other firms before years ago and stuff like that too, but this one seems pretty good. And they're good to communicate with. If you call them, they get the payment, they send us the check. If we get the payment in person, we send them their money, their percentage, and they're very accessible.
And that's the only fee is the 15%?
They get 15 direct percent, yes.
Okay, I see reimbursable expenses. Has that come up at all?
No.
So it's usually just the 50%?
Just straight 15%, and we add that on automatically on our side, and they can, so if somebody wants to pay online, it's already on there. And then when we get the file for the credit cards or debit cards or whatever, or we end up sending them their 15%, and we keep ours right away.
So-
And if they pay them, I'm sorry,
So once they go to delinquent, you're automatically tacking on the 15%?
if we send it to them.
Okay.
It takes we don't send them to them immediately. Some we send the demands out, okay? If we don't hear from them in a year, we send the demands out and try to collect. But if mail comes back and comes back and comes back and we can't get them from July, then we will send them to the collection agency already, because we don't know where they are already. They don't leave a forwarding address or whatever. But it usually takes a year or sometimes even two, and we check to see if their registrations are coming up. If their registrations are up for renewal, then we say they're going to come in, because that's what they usually do. So then we don't like to put the 15% fee on anybody, because we figure they're struggling as it is, and and we send the demands out, and we send letters out usually that call us, communicate if you're having problems, make payment arrangements, pay whatever you can, but you just can't register anything.
This might
We try to work with them.
be a bit of a rookie question, but when notices, before you send a bill to the to this contractor, do you apply any kind of registration or notarization to the forms? In other words, do you just blindly send out regular postage, or do you
We do, it's regular.
ask for a sign?
No, we don't do signs, no.
Okay.
We do regular postage. We send out the regular statements. They get statements every month. There's only 2 months out of the year that we don't send the statements out. And then they get the statements, and then they get the demands. And then a lot of towns just do, demands say 10 days. We give them 30, then we give them another 30. We write a final demand on it. And then this is your final thing. We put a neon sticker on it. That, believe it or not, they ignore all the letters and everything else, but when we put the neon sticker on, they do seem to, respond. And like I said, we do not want 15% or somebody else to get it. We would rather have it directly to us. We figure that they're struggling as it is or whatever.
Thank you.
But we do try to work with the people.
Okay, and you're happy with this firm?
Yes.
Dana, what's their collection percentage once it goes to the TaxServ? How do they do?
I don't have that statistic with me. I mean, sometimes they do send the reports on that, but that's hard to say. I mean, there are some that we get, and they still stay with them even when we send them to suspense. We'll suspend some of the accounts, which means that we can still collect them, but they just come off the tax rolls for the count purpose.
Okay.
But they do better than what we're doing.
Right.
That's our last. We did what we could.
Do you know, or could you get us how much they've been paid each year over the last 3 years? Because at least then we'd know that's 15%.
If you go on, it's online. If you go to the quarterly reports. On my quarterly reports, it does say how much the tax service done
Oh,
get paid each month, or each quarter. It should be on there.
Okay.
or I can get it for you, that's, no problem, because we do try to keep track of. And that, yeah, that's just the tax dollars that they've collected, but that doesn't
Yeah.
give you a true picture, because somebody could owe $1,000, and people have, and somebody could owe only $10.
Mhm.
But we did find out, which we didn't know until this past year, that they don't send out letters for anybody $25 and less. So when we found that out, we took that back and we suspended that and we did send out letters again to try to get some we did, some we didn't, and then we have to suspend it. We don't have any other choice, and we don't want to waste the resources on just postage after postage.
Okay.
Like I said, they are better than what, we tried to do the best we can. And we try to find these people. We look on the motor vehicles to see if a lot of them turn around and lease cars, because you don't have to pay, your name could be cleared there to lease a car. And that's what a lot of them do. We are finding that out. We are sending them notices when we find that out. Paying on the credit card is phenomenal, because you have to do that. They have to give their email, and we get to email them. The people respond to their emails when we do. We lose their addresses, but we look back and see how they paid. And we've been able to go back a couple years and get some of the people that way too. So it's, we're constantly looking. Like I said, we don't want to send them there. We would rather collect the money ourselves. And try to find them. But when we can't, that's why they're in business. And that's why they offer their service.
Yeah.
Any additional questions for Dana? Excellent, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay, so then, and then Rich, just correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll entertain a motion that the Board of Selectmen give authority to the first Selectman to enter into an agreement for professional services between the Town of Seymour and TaxServ Capital Services, LLC, for the collection of delinquent taxes and other receivables as presented by our tax collector, Dana Flock.
That's fine. Thank you.
And it was motion by Trish, second by Bob. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Dana, thank you very much for coming out. Just to clarify that, we appreciate it. You're certainly welcome to stay, Dana, but you don't. Okay.
You gonna get some water?
He gets one, okay. Just make a note that Selectman Van Hagen is leaving the room. Item number 8, discussion, take possible action regarding 128 West Street. Mr. Baturla.
Yes, you may recall that we took this property back for taxes, and then we proceeded with an eviction to gain possession of the property, and we then had it referred pursuant to Section 8-24 of the Connecticut General Statutes to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a report. It is my understanding that they passed a motion approving the sale for the town to go forward with respect to this property. There are certain, first of all, your town code section 15-3 expressly empowers the Board of Selectmen to sell whatever property the town has acquired by way of tax enforcement. It also requires publication in the local newspaper. Well, Section 7-163E of the Connecticut General Statutes requires publication in a newspaper, and it's pretty specific as to how it has to be done. And I will, if you choose to go forward, coordinate that with the First Selectman's office so that you satisfy the requirements. And there also has to be a sign posted conspicuously on the real property that it is subject to a public hearing, and a public hearing has to be held after the notification in the newspaper. So the Board of Selectmen will have to hold a public hearing. I think I would recommend, if the property is worth less than $10,000, then Section 7-163 does not apply. I don't really know what this property is worth, the shape it's in, the piece, what type of offers you're going to get for it. But there are different methodologies you can choose to do in different ways to move forward. Some communities retain a real estate broker for the purpose of marketing properties, but then you're paying a commission. You still have to comply with 7163 if you have somebody makes an offer for more than $10,000, and the other exemptions don't apply. So you would still have to post it, you'd still have to publish it, you'd still have to hold a public hearing, and then you'd enter into your contract. Another way of doing it is to perhaps we can put together a notice to solicit sealed bids, if you will, for this property, with the right to reject any and all bids, saying that put it up on our website, perhaps, if you want to avoid the cost of newspaper publication. Get those bids in, see where they come in, consult with Joe Kuziak, our tax assessor, some on the value when we see where they come in, and then figure out if we're going to move forward with a public hearing and with newspaper publication and that sort of thing. So you have a bunch of different ways to go. If you, actually, maybe I'm jumping the gun. I think we put this on the agenda because you're intending to try to sell the property and move forward in some fashion.
Yeah, it's definitely worth more than 10 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to probably comply with 7-163E, and
And there's been substantial interest already.
then we should put together perhaps a notice and take sealed bids by a certain date, open them, and give us the right to reject any and all of them, as is and that sort of thing. But we'll also let them know that we're going to comply with 7-163E. After that, we'll publish notice in the newspaper, we'll hold our public hearing, and then after that you can vote to move forward and enter into a contract.
Okay.
All right? And that way, when people come to the hearing, they'll know what the high bidder is. So you're not talking in a vacuum like, gee, is it a good idea to sell it? Well, is it a good idea if it's worth a lot more than $10,000? You're going to sell it for $3,000, you know, because that's the highest. You're going to reject all those. So if that doesn't work, you put it up, you do that, you think you have this interest, but if you don't garner the types of bids that you want, you reject all of them, and maybe now you market it by listing it.
Okay.
When we open the bids, we'll be able to have Joe's assessment.
Yeah, we'll get Joe's opinion as to value. Yeah.
Can we have this for the next meeting, or is that too quick? I mean, to start the process.
No, it isn't. We could.
I mean, we could say now we want to start the process.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It would be good to just authorize the first selectman's office to go forward and put a notice of solicitation for bid proposals for the possible sale of this property on the town website.
Anybody have any issue with that?
No, it's gonna do.
We need to do that in the form of a motion.
That would be good. Yeah.
Want to make a motion?
I make the motion.
I don't know what we said.
Second.
I'll make a motion to, okay, if that's good,
Yeah, we have a
then that's
motion and a
good.
second,
Very
Monica,
good.
to what Rich had said.
You got what I
Anne Marie and Bob. Yep.
And then we'll see what comes in, and we'll move forward. And I'm happy to work with Rory coming up with the wording for the solicitation.
Okay.
Great.
So just all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Megan's not here.
Yeah, we already marked that. Chair votes aye. Motion passes 6-0.
And just note that
Yeah, we did.
Selectman Van Eygen.
All right, item number 8, discussion, take possible action regarding community center building committee. We're actually going to address this during appointments, so there's really nothing that needs to be done here. We'll move on to item number 10, discussion and take, and just make a note that Selectman Van Eygen has returned. It is 7:36. All right, so discussion, take possible action, number 10, on blight issues, first for 38 Nichols Street and secondly for 96 Haddad Road. So passed out tonight, our blight enforcement officer, Mike Margansky, wanted to forward to us just a letter. I'll read that into the record just so it is there. And then while his letter is nothing more than a recommendation from him, this board actually makes the final decision. So we'll go to the letter regarding 38 Nichols Street. It says, Dear First Selectman Miller, Mr. Benito Urgelis, only took me 6 months, Benito, but I got it right, has completed renovations on the single-family blighted property on December 11, 2019. A certificate of occupancy was issued by the building official. I'm requesting that the Board of Selectmen release the blight lien, waive the blight fine, and issue an administrative fee of $1,500. The administrative fee will cover the cost for recurrent compliance inspections by enforcement staff and consults with counsel. Regards, Michael Margansky. Okay, so we'll stay with 38 Nichols Street. So, we've had some initial conversations on this board as to where we thought this number should be. Obviously, the goal of the blight and the fine process and everything else is to get blighted properties cleaned up. We had some issues with 38 Nichols, but once we got everything going and on track, I think the property owner has done everything he possibly could to meet all of our expectations, in a lot of cases exceed those expectations. Has been in front of us 3 or 4 times, providing us updates. If you've driven by the house, I think you can see the case of it. I'm actually friends with the neighbor who lives next door, and she wants me to thank you multiple times because she lived next to that house for many years, and I was extremely happy. While I don't think we can waive, or I don't think we should waive the entire blight fee, but I think $1,500 is, in this case, way too excessive. I think we'd thrown a number around at previous meetings of $250. That would be my recommendation to the board, that it be a $250 administrative fee that once would be paid to the town, that Rich would have the ability then to release the lien to allow the house to be immediately sold, is my understanding of it. So again, our goal is to get these houses back on the tax rolls as quick as we possibly can, and we're certainly doing that. So I want to have everybody weigh in, and then Rich, is there anything you want to add before people?
No, I concur with your recommendation. We have, as a board, we had the homeowner here on several occasions, and we talked about a fee in the neighborhood of $250 for everything he was doing, and I think he's done an exceptional job, and he's been very cooperative with the town. So I concur with your recommendation, Mr. Miller.
Anyone else want to weigh in? Different number, thoughts or comments?
I have a comment.
We'll start at that end and work our way down.
So I concur that it should not be this much. It is too much money, and if we had committed, because I don't recall, Attorney Paterla to $250, then I think that's fair in this case. What I would like to see going forward is some formula created on how we're developing these fees. I don't think it should be just picked out kind of arbitrarily by the blight officer or any other individual. There needs to be some thought process into what kind of fees we will be charging. I would have supported, say, that legal counsel having to get involved in those fees. Yes, sir?
1 hour of legal fees, 3 hours of staff time.
Okay.
$240 rounded up to $250.
So that's very fair. As far as staff time for Mr. Margulies, he's getting a salary anyhow, and that, I would say that no matter who's in the position, just to be clear, that's his salary to go out and do this job. But if we have someone who's complying, there's legal fees, I would support that. So I do support the fee. I'm more concerned about where we're going with these letters of recommendations to our board with the fees, where I would like whoever is in that position to review blight to have something to provide us with a fee and explaining how he's coming up with that fee.
We can certainly ask Mike to do that. I think you'll see in both letters, he's consistent. So I think
He is consistent, but that's the point.
It's not explained, right, I'm with you.
They're not, you can't tell me both properties had the same number of hours of legal review, of the same number of visits, and when a property is blighted, it's very unique to that situation.
Right.
So they really should be unique fees according to that. So I'm just asking for some structure going forward.
Not a problem.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know
My
how
point's made, I'll be quiet
I kind
now.
of came to the 250.
And
Okay.
I would just like to follow your comments by saying, with respect to this particular piece of property, we had very little in the way of time, and our time certainly did not exceed 1 hour.
Very good.
I'm in the same boat with Tricia.
Yep.
You know, it's fine. I'd like to see more of a formula, so it's more repeatable. It can't be some arbitrary number, kind of placed on a piece of paper. It's got to be a formula for it. Then we'll make an assessment from there.
Yep, no problem. Emery?
I agree with the 250, as we agreed about and spoke about at our previous meetings. I would like to see our blight enforcement officer come to this meeting and give a detail as to what he has been doing and how he comes to these fines. I want him here to tell us, because he hasn't been to a meeting in quite some time.
Oh, he works nights, is the problem.
Well, then he can send us a letter as to how he comes to these fines.
Yeah, which we'll do. Al?
I agree. I think $250 is reasonable. There's been a lot of work done on this home. So I don't have an issue with it. I also would like to see more data and how these numbers are arrived at in terms of a fine. There needs to be a little more detail in these letters, maybe just a quick little blurb of math or something, how these are getting arrived at, so I don't disagree with my fellow board members on that. That's it.
Rob?
Sam, on this side, I do think that there should be some payment towards the legal fees we have to incur, but in a situation like this where he's been incurring very little, it shouldn't be any exorbitant amount. And like you said, they're very nuanced, so somebody who is making it difficult, in the end, they're going to have to reimburse us for multiple hours. But in this case, $250
Right.
absolutely just covers legal fees.
Chris?
I definitely concur with Selectwoman Donka regarding the reducing the legal fees to the legal fees of about $250. I know this gentleman was in front of Planning and Zoning as well when I was on that commission, and he's been doing everything that the town has asked and then some. I concur also with Selectwoman DeGronis regarding the selecting of $1,500. I just looked through the blight policy on the in the charter, and there is no guidance in the charter. That's something that a charter revision commission might want to address.
Can you say that again? Sorry?
There's nothing in the charter revision giving guidance on fees on this particular case.
Charter revision?
Or, I'm sorry, in the charter itself regarding the blight.
It's an ordinance. Blight's done by ordinance.
Okay.
It's $100 a day.
Okay. I don't know where this $1,500 came from. I would like to hear from Mr. Margansky his explanation, and I understand he works nights. Considering he is a paid employee of the town? Is that correct?
He's a paid employee of the town, yes.
Then we would like to see him at the next meeting. At least I would.
Yeah, at a meeting. I'm not 100% sure we can force someone to come to a meeting off hours. I'll work on that with Rich to see if that's...
I would definitely like to hear from Mr. Margansky as to this number.
Because I don't want to get into a situation where someone has to take a vacation day, we have to pay, so on and so forth. So the laws of the state of Connecticut are a little too funky when it comes to that stuff.
We're already paying.
Yeah. Well, no, we have to pay him for taking the time off, so it's lost work, and, I'm not sure we'd want to pay 8 hours of his salary.
He is not a full-time town employee.
Yeah, that's it. He's not full-time.
I will defer to legal counsel.
Yeah. So, but no, point well taken. Rory and I will talk to Mike tomorrow, and just have him, I guess, voice how he came up with these numbers. Because again, I'll agree, the two different blight issues in front of us, they are not the same. One had more work, I think, than the other one. So to come up with the same number for each, I'm not sure is fair. So we'll pass that along. Okay, any other comments? If not, then I'll read the motion and then we'll go from there.
I'm satisfied.
Okay, make a motion that the Board of Selectmen through Town Council release the blight lien and waive the blight fine after administrative fee of $250 is paid for the property at 38 Nichols Street.
So moved.
Motion by Trish, second by Chris. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for doing what you did.
Thank you for your very well-received work on the house. We sincerely appreciate it.
Okay. All right, so we will move on. So Rich will reach out to your attorney tomorrow. We'll get that all squared away. So the lien is released and you'll be set to sell.
Is it 96 or 95?
Is what?
It says 96 Haddad.
We'll address that in 2 seconds. Okay, item 10B, 96 Haddad Road. Is it 96 or 95? 90, what? 5, okay. 95, so the agenda, just note the agenda should say 95 Haddad Road. Okay, and I will, again, you have the recommendation of the Blight official in front of you. I'm not going to read, I probably should read that into the record too. Mr. Anavan Harable, I don't think I'm saying that correctly, has completed renovations on the single-family blighted property. On December 23rd, 2019, a certificate of occupancy was issued by the building official. I am requesting that the Board of Selectmen release the blight lien, waive the blight fine, and issue an administrative fee of $1,500. The administrative fee will cover the cost for recurrent compliance inspections by enforcement staff and consults with counsel. Regards, Michael Margansky. Okay, so we're in the same situation as that. This is one that we haven't discussed in the past. So, Rich, I'm going to ask you to weigh in with regards to the amount of work and things that you have done with this, if you are prepared to do so.
Well, in this particular case, we drew a 5-page agreement back on or about February 27th, 2019. So we did do more legal work, if you will, on this particular file than we did, say, on the other one. I'm going to estimate that we probably did about 3 hours worth of work on this particular file.
Okay.
But again, these are not, we've had other blight situations that you've seen that we've dealt with, and we've come here. Those are court actions that we filed. And we're in court, and we're moving the file forward. And in some cases, we've taken the property for the town. In other cases, we forced banks that are going through the foreclosure process to pay the fine and to maintain the property. That's substantially different than these. This is a version of the last one in that you had another agreement. In this case, there was actually a formal agreement with Mr. Harable that was entered into. So we haven't been in court on this. This isn't like those others. And those other situations, if we don't take the property, for example, all the fees are being paid by some financial institution. We've seen that repeatedly.
Okay, so thoughts on this one?
Legal fees.
This is the first I've heard about this property at all, so, I mean, what was the situation? I mean, we understand what's happened with this gentleman. Does anyone have any background on this? How it started, how long it lasted? What was the full amount levied against him?
I don't have a clear recollection on this, but I'm going to tell you what I have in my agreement that we did well over a year ago. I wasn't sure what this was precisely about tonight. So, Mr. Harable was the owner of the property back on that date. It was severely damaged by fire. This is the one that was damaged in the fire in October 2014. He had an issue with insurance, from what I recall. Remember that? So there was a delay in repairing and remediating the fire-damaged structure. Commencing August 30th, 2018, penalties were levied against it at a rate of $100 per day in accordance with the Blight ordinance. So that that fine began to accumulate.
In August of 2018.
August of 2018. Bless you. We caused a blight lien and certificate of continuing lien to be filed on or about February 27th, 2019. As of June 24th, 2019, the blight lien at that time was $29,900. On February 12th, 2018, Mr. Hurrable had applied for a building permit to remediate the existing blight violations. The town was willing to forbear for a period of time from exercising its rights and remedies with respect to the blight lien and the existing blight violations, provided that Mr. Hurrable complied with the terms and conditions of this agreement. He was required, I'm cutting through a lot of different clauses here, but the gist of it is he was required to remedy and correct all of the existing blight violations on the subject property prior to the forbearance termination date, obtain a certificate of occupancy for the subject property, and then the town agrees to release the blight lien and the blight penalties against the subject property. That was the arrangement that was made with respect to this gentleman back then.
Was it signed off and agreed to?
It was. It was authorized by the Board of Selectmen. You signed it, and Mr. Hurrable signed it as well. So I don't know the date of the well, let's see. I was about to ask Mr. Miller if Mr. Margansky reported on that. The forbearance termination date is April 1, 2020. So he would have to do the work before April 1, 2020. So is Mr. Margansky in that letter reporting that the work was done?
Oh, yes, certificate of occupancy was issued on December 23rd, 2019.
So is that agreement stating that we can't even collect legal fees from Mr. Hurrable for the work you had to do? I mean, because in lieu of having a formula, and in all fairness of what we just did, I would say at minimum, we should collect the 3 hours of legal fees that you incurred that we had to pay for.
What was Mr. Margansky's recommendation?
$1,500.
Administrative fee?
Yes.
Which he did for both properties, which makes it look like it's just a flat one.
Not only that, but I have to ask, has he been fighting with his insurance this whole time? Is there a timeline on that?
Yes, no.
Okay.
There were some, I don't remember all the details, but there were some other
Is there a
circumstances.
going forward, can we be presented with a timeline on situations like this, i.e. when a blight issuance was given per section blah, when, because this letter here just saying, yeah, I think this is good, we can charge them $1,500 is woefully insufficient when we're charged, if we're going to be considering this on a case-by-case basis. We should have in front of us, on this date we talked to them, on this date we did this, on this date we did that, so that we can review it.
Yep, we can get that.
Very well.
We're making note, please.
So Attorney Bertola, can we charge the
Planning and
fine
zoning gets that.
for the 3 hours of work you had to do?
What was your question, Tristan? Sorry.
I want to think about that, because the agreement that was entered into between the town and Mr. Hurrable said that if he did all this work before April 1, 2020,
You were going to waive the blight fee?
well, it refers to releasing the blight lien in the blight penalties against the subject property. He's recommending we're charging a fee,
Administrative fee.
an administrative fee, which arguably is different than what we have in here. But I'd like to go back. What I'm really asking is, there's no urgency on this. Let's table it until the next meeting, and I'd like to go back and take a look at the town code, the blight ordinance, and see what the authority is beyond the blight lien, $100 a day, and that sort of thing.
Okay.
Is this something that we would bill to Mr. Horrible?
Yes. Well, in terms of me looking at it?
Yes.
No.
In other words, the work that you're about to do, are we going to be tacking on another hour of fees?
No.
Well,
I think that's not fair.
well, first of all, let's assume I did 3 hours worth of work on this agreement, and it might not even be that much. So I was erring a little bit on the high side. If we did do 3 hours worth of work on it, that is substantially below the $1,500 recommendation as well. Okay?
Agreed.
And so if I'm going to do a little bit more, it'll probably be significantly below his recommended administrative fee.
I would see any work you're doing now is based on our questions and not
Yeah.
on his blight.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even
But-
I personally wouldn't agree it should be tacked on to his fine.
But I'd like to take a look at this, and I'd like to talk to him because this catches me cold. I saw it was on the agenda. I went and pulled this agreement.
You. That thrills me.
Well, I didn't know he was making a recommendation to charge an administrative fee on this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so with that being said, I'll entertain a motion to table item 10B.
So moved.
Motion by Chris, second by Rob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Item number 11, discussion with financial advisor regarding bonding. We're going to table this. We met today with Standard & Poor's, myself and our underwriter, John Healy. There's going to be a joint presentation set up for the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen at some point in early February. John will be presenting to the Board of Finance. I want that to take place first, and then it'll move to a joint meeting for all of the appropriate approvals. So I entertain a motion to table item number 11.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Bob, second by Al. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Item number 12, discussion, take possible action regarding park fees. In your packet, thank you, you have a letter to us from Bob Lang, who is the secretary of the Seymour Parks Commission. It says, Dear Mr. Miller, we'd like to bring to your attention a recent decision by our board to increase the fees for teams which do not possess a nonprofit status. The fee will increase from $250 per team to $750 per team. He's also included the minutes of the October 28, 2019 Parks Commission meeting, and you will see on page 2 of those notes, Bill Zawicki suggested that out-of-town fees for field use for teams for profit be raised to $750 per team. Motion was made by Bill Zawicki, second by Gary Papalis, and all were in favor. Okay, so with that, I'd like to entertain a motion that the town of Seymour increase the fee charged to for-profit out-of-town teams, or just for-profit teams, for use of town of Seymour fields from $250 to $750 as recommended by the Parks Commission in their October 28, 2019 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Chris, second by Bob. Under discussion? Anybody have?
Yeah, I don't see, did they give any kind of justification for this? I mean, that's a 50% increase right there. Is there justification? Is there a limit on, are the fields that fought over?
Well, this is for teams that are charging, let's say, $2,000 or $3,000 a player to be a part of. They're coming using our fields and basically paying the town of
Not
Seymour
town.
nothing.
I definitely understand that,
Right.
especially from the hockey community. I just didn't know if there was a need to increase the fee this much. If it's a case of our teams can't get on the field because these guys are coming in and just taking them out.
I think it's, well, that's part of it, but I also think it's a matter of the expense to maintain and upkeep our fields.
Fair.
I don't think it's fair that the residents of the town of Seymour should be responsible for covering the costs to maintain a field that a for-profit organization is coming in and making thousands of dollars using. It's one thing if it's a not-for-profit, if it's a Little League or a Pop Warner or something like that, then I
Right.
think we're all in agreement
Right.
those fees should be waived. But if your business is making money on some type of athletic team, then you should have to pay a larger fee.
I definitely agree with that. I was just wondering if we could get a use case in future cases.
Oh, I mean, I can rattle off several teams.
I'd probably agree with all of them.
Yeah.
Is Bill Swicky's role, I take it he's the treasurer?
Treasurer?
Is he the treasurer on the
Parks Commissioner? I believe he's the chair.
He's the chair.
Yeah.
So Bill has a financial background, as we all know, right?
He's also chairman of the Board of Finance.
Right.
Yeah.
So if he makes a recommendation to go from $250 to $750 for for-profit teams in our town, I know I've been part of that discussion in the past, just chit-chats with him. I have no issue with it, because like you said, if it's a for-profit team using our fields, they should be paying more than $250. There's a lot of money and a lot of labor that goes into maintaining our fields. They look really sharp. Our Public Works Department does a great job. Gary Park is night and day compared to what it used to be when I first moved to town. They do a great job up there, and other travel teams that we used to have with soccer would comment on how beautiful the field would be, how lush the Little League field looked, how great the soccer field was, and everything took true bounces, and they were all amazed. And so I'm all for hitting the for-profits a little bit more if they want to use our fields. This is not a, it's just not free. You know, you're making money on it, you got to pay, like you said. So I'm all for it.
Taxpayers are paying for it.
It's comparable to other towns, because if you were to rent those fields from other towns, it's a higher.
That was actually going to be my question, is do we have any comparables for surrounding towns?
It is comparable.
Yeah.
And that even most.
So I'm sure Bill Swicky did his research on it, and that number is
You know-
not something drawn out of the sky.
Right, the only field that I believe this does not, well, I shouldn't say I believe, the only field this does not cover is the turf field. That's completely different,
Right.
so. Any other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Item number 13, discussion, take possible action regarding 2020 farmers markets. In your packet, you have an email that was sent to myself, Mary McNellis, and Rory Burke from Alexis Gazy. Alexis has been managing the farmers market for years now. It says, happiest new year. The farmers market would like permission to return to the community center off of Pine Street on May 19, 12 noon to 6 p.m. every Tuesday through October 27th, 2020. A special thank you for the signage on the side of the building. It looks fabulous. Beldati's Bakery will be back along with a few new prospective vendors to be determined. Thank you so much for your consideration and support, Alexis Gazy, Gazy Brothers Farm. Okay, so with that, I'll entertain a motion to establish the dates and times of the Seymour Farmers Market to be from May 19 through October 27, 2020, on Tuesdays from 12 noon to 6 p.m. at the Community Center off of Pine Street.
So moved.
Motion by Trish, second by Rob. Just under discussion, they will continue to work with Mary at the Community Center to make sure where they're set up meets all of the agreements that we have in place with regards to the church for use of the parking lots. They do reach out to Reverend Glass just to make sure that that is being taken care of, so there's no issues. And to be honest, they have gotten easier and easier to work with each year. I think Mary and Alexis have a great working relationship, and where we used to have a ton of problems, just from setting up the things and parking, that I don't believe there's any real issues last year at all, which is great. So they're working together very well.
Good vendors.
So, okay, if there's no other thoughts or comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Okay, appointments, we're going to break these up just so I can give a little explanation, and then we'll go through. So, First one is Harvey Catlin, Parade Committee. It's a new appointment. It's a 2-year term. It expires 1/22/2022.
So moved.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Bob. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Michael Julian, Board of Fire Commissioners, new appointment, it's a 3-year term. It expires January 17th, 2023.
So moved.
Motion by Chris, second by, who's that? Bob? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Okay, the Community Center Building Committee. This is a committee that is put together to review the possibility of putting together a new community center. All of these people are picked for specific reasons. We have our building official, our facilities director, the chair of our standing building committee, a member from the Board of Education, a representative from the Senior Citizen, or excuse me, Livable Communities Commission, representative from the Recreation Commission, our town engineer, and our chairman of our Board of Finance. So that's where this group comes from. I will be seated on this committee and will be chairing this committee so we can keep it moving along. I'll ask for assistance from Attorney Paterla. We will put together a schedule of milestones that we plan to hit. There will be public meetings. I've already put one social media post out, just trying to generate some responses from the residents. I think to date we have about 900 responses, which is very good. So we're going to try to engage the community as much as we possibly can, and then we'll move forward with the process. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 9 members to the Community Center Building Committee as presented. Motion by Bob, second by Al. Any discussion or comments?
It's an all-star team.
Yeah, it should be a good group. We should be able to move along pretty quickly. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Okay, item number 15, tax refunds and abatements. We have 2 before us this evening. Dana's really looking for money. We'll go with the tax collector's report. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the January 3rd, 2020 tax collector's report as presented by Susan Bowen from our tax office. Motion by Anne Marie, second by Al. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 7-0. I'll entertain a motion to approve the tax collector's report dated January 16, 2020, as presented by Susan Bowen from our tax office.
So moved.
Motion by Chris, second by Anne Marie. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 7-0. Item number 16, we have no transfers before us. Item number 17, correspondence. We have a few pieces of information. We have a letter from the Great Hill Hose Company, and I'll just read it into the record so we have it. Dear Selectman Miller, during the recent December meeting of the Great Hill Hose Company, Michael Julian of, and I won't read his address, and Doug Zanuski, I won't read Doug's address either, of Seymour, were the 2 names selected for your consideration for appointment to the one open Great Hill position on the Board of Fire Commissioners. The position up for appointment was previously held by Daniel Cooper, whose term expired. Thank you, Ethan Lott, who is the company secretary for Great Hill Hose. So again, we take the Great Hill, the different fire companies will make a recommendation of 2 members to serve on the Board of Fire Commissioners, and we make a decision as to which one, and we've chosen to replace Dan Cooper with Michael Julian. The other, well, we have the check registers, which are there, and then there's a letter from Mr. and Mrs. James Entwistle. They had a backup, well, let me take that back. Under full disclosure, this is the people who live directly across the street from me. They had a huge issue, and you can see the dates leading up to and just before Christmas. They had a backup sewer backup into their home. The sewer backup was caused by a large a completely clogged 4-inch sanitary sewer line that was about halfway down Swan Avenue, the lower part of Swan Avenue. The Etwistles had about $5,400 worth of expenses that they incurred trying to solve the problem from their own home. They actually had an excavator come to try to dig up the pipe. The issue was not theirs, the issue was the town's. I'm bringing this just to your attention. This has been forwarded on to the WPCA. This is definitely something the WPCA should be addressing, but I wanted to bring it to your attention just in case the WPCA chooses not to do anything with it. That way you've at least seen it, and then we could address it further. So again, this is nothing but a correspondence. It's not really up for discussion. Okay. That closes correspondence. Item number 18, public comments. Is there any? What's your name and address for the record? Yeah, you gotta talk into the microphone.
Oh, sure, okay.
Yes.
I thought my voice was loud enough.
Well, they won't hear you on the camera. So.
We still on?
Yep, you're good.
Good, okay. Yeah, my comments are about 126, 128 West Street.
You just have to state your name and address for the record.
Oh, Gregory Chernak, 21 Highland Road, Oxford, Connecticut. I'd like to ask why, are we bound by public statute to have a sealed bid auction?
We don't respond during public comment. We can't respond during public comment.
I can't respond.
Right.
Okay. How would I go about getting an answer on that?
You could just send a letter in or call the office.
Can I stop by and see you?
You can. I'm not going to be in until Monday. It's my birthday, so I'm taking a few days off.
Oh, okay. Congratulations. Other than there were mostly questions I have. I don't have any comments per se, other than we'd be able to view the property, and there's a better way to do this than a sealed bid auction. That's fair to the bidders and to the town. The problem with a sealed bid auction is the town knows how much money they need to essentially break even. And that would be the opening bid on a live auction. The idea that he stated that if you don't like the bids, well, we're just going to say we're not going to accept them and we're going to do it a different way isn't fair to the bidders or to the town, because you're accumulating more debt that way if no one buys it, or if you reject all the bids. So if you have a accounting of your costs, you can have an opening bid that satisfies the town, and then possibly, sell the property probably for more money than that, which would benefit the town. I've been going to auctions for 40 years and buying properties, cars, essentially anything that comes up for auctions, except people. And so, I know how this whole process works. And that's all I really want to say. There's a better way to do this that would benefit everybody. So. Okay, am I all set? All right,
Yeah, I'm just taking
you.
notes. Thank you. Okay, is there any additional public comment?
Dana Flack, tax collectors, Town of Seymour. Based on the 126, 128 West Street, the town did do a tax sale. We did have a minimum opening bid of $50,000 of what was owed to us, the marshal fees, and the WPCA fees were included. We got an offer of $8,000. I refused that offer, and that's why the town ended up having it as a tax sale. As far as opening, a minimum opening bid, we do that before the town receives it.
Oh, I can't go right that fast. Sorry. No, I'm good. Okay, any additional public comment? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 19, Selectmen's public comment. But before we do that, has everyone handed in their strategic planning homework?
Oh, yeah, sure.
If you have not done so, please pass it to the center of the table.
Yep, I'll email it to you.
Who do we have? We have one. We have,
I was going. Dog ate my dog. I just have.
I'm going to be honest. These things are just badly beaten. So we have two. Wow. Well, yeah. So the rest of you, if you could please email these directly to Rory tomorrow when you get back to your offices, that would be greatly appreciated. That's right.
Really?
And don't think we don't have a chart upstairs with each of your names on it.
Mr. Burke, would you please email me another copy? You may give me an F, but I will turn it in for maybe half credit.
Rory, just refresh my memory. Who was the original chair of the Strategic Planning Committee?
That's why I'm agreeing to the failing grade. In my defense, I have been working a lot of hours, and
Trish gets two sad faces.
yes,
Two sad faces.
No, check. And a check mark.
All right, Mr. Bowen.
shame on me.
I want to repeat the congratulations to the Seymour High School volleyball team for their victory in state championship. And that's all I got. Pretty quiet week.
Excellent. Mr. Van Hagen.
Happy New Year! Very excited for this year, and I think we can all can we all share in a Selectman comment with a happy birthday song? But that,
Darn it, you beat me!
Motion to sing happy
never mind, I
birthday
got nothing
to
else. Just a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Al.
Oh, you'll do it when we get to her. Al's deferring.
All right, hold on.
Strike that motion from the record.
Al.
No, I don't have anything to say tonight. Good
No?
meeting.
No, Bruno. Nothing.
Nothing.
Wow.
That's a first.
Monica, could you star that? Now Bruno says nothing. AMD.
All right, so I'll take up for Al.
Oh.
So we all know how I am part of the M22, Mission 22 for veteran suicide. We had our first meeting. It went really well. We have our date. It's June 13th. No, it's June 14th, which is Saturday to Sunday. It was originally supposed to be a Friday to Saturday, but we're doing a Saturday to a Sunday now.
I work on Fridays.
Sorry.
No, the date is, hold on, let's confirm that date, just to make sure it's correct.
Oh, boy.
And I don't.
And I'm just waiting for 100% approval from the Board of Education,
Totally
which
have
I
approval.
expect that we will get that. So the walk will start at 10, well, I will start walking at 10 a.m. on Saturday, June 13th, and we'll walk until Sunday at noon. No, wait a minute. That's backward. I'm going to start at noon on the 13th and finish at 10 a.m. on the 14th, 22 hours.
22 hours.
I almost walked 26 hours. That would have been a problem.
That would be nice. So it's called Seymour's Walk, Seymour's 22 Walk for Hope. And what it is 22 hours of walking for hope for every 22 veterans that have committed suicide a day. Okay. So Seymour is being part of it. We have our next meeting, February 13th at 7 p.m. at the C2 Firehouse. If you wish to be involved in the meeting. Rory, I know Thursdays are tough for you, so we'll try to reschedule the next one for you to be there because you want to be part of it as well. We would really love to have people there. We have the ambulance involved. We have the CERT team is involved, emergency management, firehouse. Chris Edwards is part of that. John Duke's part of it for the police commissioners. We're really starting to put the plan together on what we want to do between Emerald Singer coming in with posting the colors, having the Boy Scouts involved, making it part of the community. But Kurt is going to walk for 22 hours. Kyle Kelly did say he will have the ambulance there on hand for Kurt.
Just idling and
Idling.
behind him.
Idling the
Gator.
gator. Right.
And every hour I'm going to switch directions.
We also have the masquerade ball that is coming up on March. I just had it down. I think that's also March
So it's like the 20th.
March 20th. It's at Aria's in Prospect. You can buy tickets online. Tickets are $100 each. It is a black tie, tuxedo, masquerade, ball. The reason for the masks is because the veterans hide behind the masks to hide their pain. That is the reason for the masks. So I've shared that on Facebook. I'll go back on tonight and I'll share it again. So that's it on M22. I'll be updating everybody on our weekly, reports on that. Also, one other thing is Seymour's Unified Cheer. I watched these girls compete, and I have to say, they are simply amazing. They are made up of not only Seymour, but there's also Ansonia and Shelton on there, and they are mentored by the Seymour Middle School cheerleaders as well as the Seymour High School cheerleaders. So not only are they, they have their own struggles, right? They're being taken in and they're being mentored and they're being made part of a group, and the smiles on their face and the excitement and the joy they get out of it. They even applied to compete at states in March. So we're just waiting for their application on that. So it's a really good thing. And congratulations to the volleyball team.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
That's all I have. Oh, happy birthday, old man. I can say that because
Sounded like something out of a movie from the 40s.
Just congratulations to the volleyball team, and I want this in the record. Happy 50th birthday to Kurt Miller. Make sure that's in the record.
That's like officially old.
Monica, this will be the last meeting that you take minutes for. That comment makes it. Rich, what, do I have the authority to kick?
I'm sorry,
Selectmen
that's
off?
illegal harassment.
Excuse me? Do I have the authority to just kick Selectmen off the board?
Yeah.
Here, what do I sign?
Go ahead, Trish.
Well, I was gonna, instead of happy birthday, I wanted to sing how old are you now, but I cannot be bullied, Monica, so happy 50th birthday to first Selectman Kurt Miller. God, I'm so glad I'm not the only one. I have two comments. One, I did take the library up on their offer to go visit with them and hear their feedback. I know Chris was also there, as was Rich Demko from the Board of Finance. I did, they were really just looking for feedback. The items I really encouraged them to do is to provide the presentation that they had for us to the Board of Finance, because that would be the appropriate venue to go, and also encourage them and offered to help kicking off a kind of like a 5-year plan, strategic plan for them. So I don't know if they'll take me up on that, but I know that they were very interested and really quite happy to get any feedback at all from people. So I'm hoping to see some positive movement from them, to get the things that they're complaining they don't need. There is also, seems to me, just a very large lack of understanding on, why certain decisions have been made, which were addressed, and how to move forward and not, everyone's frustration, I think, in town with anything, right? In government, things just don't move fast enough. So I think they're trying to do better and celebrating the wins that they've had. So I'm just thrilled to have been able to help them. I'm sure Chris is as well, as was Rich, and they were just very happy to be heard and get some feedback, and they're pretty excited about taking some positive steps going forward. Also, and just, I know we covered this pretty extensively during the meeting, but the Blight, while we're waiting for feedback back from Attorney Batorla when he has some time to review and think about it, again, I can't stress enough, and I totally respect if we had an agreement with this individual based on the situation with the fire, if we can't move forward with at least recouping legal fees. But I would, if that does turn out to be the case, I would like to remember that Mr. Ergelis also, he did purchase a blighted property. I know the situation's a little different because he was out of the country when the blight officer went there. So I really, in lieu of having a structured fee schedule and how to come up with these fees, we need to be very considerate about being fair to any party that's currently being blighted and having a fine put in front of them. So I know that decision was already made, and I'm not, just for the record, want to say I'm not super happy I made that decision, not understanding we might not be able to kind of do something similar with the other blighted property. And that's really all I have to say about that. And that's all I have. Happy birthday to you. That was kind of messed up that nobody chimed in, so I'm going to end with
That was a solo.
Rory, is there anything that we missed? Yeah, I thought you were going like a Marilyn.
I'm too new. I'm not getting in on that.
Yeah, you had a little sass in your voice.
Yeah.
Waiting. Yeah, I'm just going to skip right over and go to Rory.
Rory, sing.
Yeah.
I don't want to even fight.
Then say happy 30th birthday.
Yeah, that's right.
Put it on the record that employees are intimidated with remediation.
You remember something? Rory's a political appointee, though. So he's not. He doesn't really count as an employee. Dana, on the other hand, Dana, you could say whatever you want because I fully support. Thank you, Dana. I appreciate that. So, Rory, anything we missed? No? Rich, anything you'd like to add?
No, I could approach this from a different standpoint and say, happy birthday, young man.
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that.
I prefer it when you support me on my side, but
Yes.
I still like you. It's okay.
He's a political appointee, too. So, okay, so with that, I don't think we have anything else. So
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Out of my own safety, I don't know who to pick here. Motion by Anne Marie, second by Trish. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Chair votes aye. Motion passes 7-0. Mark this marathon closed at 8:29.
Not too